Come on.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Sorry. It might just be a bit sketch. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you loud and clear. How are you, Ben?
I'm pretty good. I'm just walking back up to the shed. I was up at the shed. I was like, shit. Hopefully the internet's okay up here. But yeah, all good. All
Nice.
good.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Great to see
likewise.
you, man.
Thanks for having us on.
Of course. I'm really psyched about the interview.
Yeah. Me too. It's cool that you're doing
Can
it.
you
So.
can you put the cell phone on like vertical?
Oh yeah, I'll give it a crack.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm watching you. I was watching you like sideways.
True. How's that? Is that better?
Yes, that's perfect.
Cool. Got Bruce there as well.
Really
Cool.
good to have you in the shed because I have a couple of questions about like grip tools. I have a couple here. My
Oh,
grab ball, the one I used for a competition last year.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Yours is really seasoned. I can see. This
This one?
is kind of brand new or almost new. Just a year of
Yeah.
age.
Yeah, mine's been shed rusting. Yeah, well, not rusting, but kind of getting a bit tarnished because of the last summer was so wet and it was wet in the shed. So.
And understand. I also have here my rolling handle, Chilean made. So
yeah, good one. I've got my 4-inch crusher.
that one is really huge.
Yeah, it's really.
It's going to be great for the example.
Yeah.
Really nice. Well then, I for the introduction I usually start in Spanish and then we switch back to English because from now on I always do the translation in YouTube. I have my subtitles starting from Ivan Chuk from last week. I figured out how to put subtitles for my Spanish viewers. So, bienvenidos. Bueno. Bienvenidos amigos a Gripsport Latino. Estamos en nuestro episodio número 7 con el gran Ben Cössey, escalador hace 20 años y gran atleta de Gripsport. Tiene mucha experiencia y mucha sabiduría que compartirnos. Entonces, no pueden perderse este video. Si tienen alguna pregunta en vivo, pónganla en los comentarios, yo la voy a leer. Welcome everyone to episode number 7 of Gripsport Latino. Here we have from Australia, Ben Cössey. He has been a really notorious climber and notorious gripster lately. So let's hear it from himself. Tell us your personal introduction as a person, as an athlete, everything that you want to share us.
Where do I start? Well, g'day, I'm Ben. Buenas noches. I think that's French, isn't it? Nah, I'm not joking.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. I like it.
Well, I guess I'm mostly a climber, and I've been doing some grip sport. I guess I've always been training grip, I guess, because I'm a climber, and that's a big part of climbing and climbing training. So I've been grip sporting or doing grip related stuff for a long time, but specifically arm lifting and grip sport, I guess, for maybe 2 years, 2.5 years or something like that. As a lifting stuff off the ground kind of sport. Yeah, and that's about it. I live in Blackheath, which is just west of Sydney, about 2 hours in Australia. And yeah, I live here with my partner and our daughter and our little dog. And that's about the length of it, I guess. I've been climbing for about 25 years as well. Rock climbing for 25 years. So that's relevant. I work as a physio, not too far from here. And I like training. And I like collecting.
Excellent. Those are great news. 25 years of climbing. May I ask for your age, Ben?
Yeah, I'm 39. I'm super old.
No, not old, but 25 years of experience. Wow.
Yeah, I just thought of it the other day. I was like, I've been climbing since 98. And I realized, oh my God, that's a long time ago. 25 years.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how do you call like the climbing levels because I have many climbing friends here in Chile,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I asked them for help for some questions for you.
Mhm.
So they asked me, which is your climbing best level or graduation? I understand they are like B10, V11,
Oh, yeah.
V13. Which is your
Uh,
best?
yeah, so like the V grade, so that's a bouldering grade, which is like climbing without ropes. That my best would be, I guess you could say I've done a V15. Like I think of it as a
Wow.
V14, but the V, yeah, it's basically a V15, V14, V15, and then a route grade, which is roped climbing. My best would be 35, which is a French grade of 9A. Or what grade do you guys have in South America? It,
We use both. We use all of the
yeah,
mentioned, like the root ones, the 9A. It's familiar to me as
yeah,
well. I'm not like 100% into climbing, but we understand all of the grades that you said.
yeah. Sweet, sweet. Yeah, so like 35 or 9A is my route grade, and then I've done a V15, but whatever. Yeah. I don't know.
Did,
I,
did
I never.
you compete in bouldering in the
Sorry.
past? Did you compete in bouldering in the
Yeah,
past?
yeah. I have done. Yeah, I don't really compete anymore at all. Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, it's good. I don't really
So,
like. I don't
no?
like indoor. Not really. Not. I like indoor climbing, but I don't like in training. But I don't love indoor comps anymore. I used to. Oh, there's a possum outside. Sorry. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, tell us, Ben,
Hmm.
how did you find out about Gripsport slash arm lifting?
Yeah. Well, I guess everyone knows Joe Hodgson, but Joe Hodgson and I met maybe about 20 years ago, but I didn't um, really get to know him at all. And he's a bit of a Australian kind of arm lifting guy, but he back in the day he used to do a lot of bouldering around Sydney, and people used to call him Jojo Dynamo because he'd do lots of dynos, like which is big dynamic
Yes, the
moves.
jumps.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
big. And so uh, I when I got on Instagram, I followed Joe, and then I saw that he would do this arm lifting stuff, but I didn't really get into it for a while. Like I probably watched him and his little videos for about 2 years, and almost like they're just he's lifting stuff up, going clunk, clunk, and I was just like, oh, what is he doing? Like, yeah. So anyway, that was my first exposure to arm lifting. And then he would send me the odd message saying, oh, do you want to do some? Do you want to do some? I'm like, oh yeah, maybe one day. And, I was a bit non-committal. And then he asked me to one of the King Kongs, and then I missed the King Kong 2020 and then went to King Kong 2022. I had another powerlifting friend who did a lot of lifting, and he was really strong with the Captains of Crush grippers. And I thought, maybe I should try like lifting some heavy stuff off the ground and see how that relates to climbing. And then knowing Joe was into it, I got into it that way. And then it's a bit of a rabbit hole, as you know. Like I've got all sorts of toys now, and yeah. But yeah, it's been good. It's been fun, and also it worked well with my training for climbing because I have a new shed now. But my old shed got demolished, and then I just had a really small garden shed to train. And then so obviously arm lifting was quite space efficient.
Perfect. I really like the concept of rabbit hole because it is. It
Yes. Oh,
definitely is.
yeah. I'm in the
Yeah.
rabbit hole. Sure. With
Well,
everyone.
so which was the first grip tool that you buy for yourself?
Oh, I think the first one I got. Oh, actually, the first one I got was Captains of Crush #2, and then a hub. But the Captains of Crush #2 was intended because I finished uni and I was driving down into the city basically for work, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll just bust out reps on the #2. I had tickets on myself, and get, you know, do some training in the car. And then when I got it, I was like, I couldn't budge it. So that didn't go so well. But then still, that was like 2 years before I bought a hub. So the hub was my first foray into arm lifting as such. Yeah. And then a Bear Grips rolling handle, actually. Yeah, would have been my next one. Yeah. I saw that Joe just joined.
Hello, Joseph.
Hello, Joseph.
Nice to have you here. I love to have Joseph here as a guest in the future. It would be great.
Great. Yeah. He interviews well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, next question.
Yeah.
Which was the Gripsport discipline that came most natural to you? Like you tried it and it was like, oh, this is for me.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
Well, strangely, the finish ball I've been okay at from the get-go, or from the start as soon as I got that. So I could almost, maybe within a few sessions, I would get over 40 kilos, and then my PB
Over
on that,
40?
I think I've gotten 40. Yeah, like pretty all right. Which I never train like that in climbing, but I do pinch things close together. So I think that there was a bit of specificity there, or carryover. And then also, like, the next would be, say, like things like the compact tip tester and the standard tip tester. Anything where I'm crimping my knuckles up, anything reminiscent of climbing, that feels pretty natural to me. So yeah, that probably this is the best, for me. Stuff where I'm squeezing the guts out, but like with my knuckles jacked up. Yeah.
Since you have your mini tip tester right there, I have a question from another gripper.
Yep.
Rental shoes. I'm not sure if I can call him like a climber or a gripster. It's like both. It's like a new kind of athlete. I like it.
Is that his real name? Is that his name?
No, his real name is Noah, but he goes by rental shoes for now.
Yeah.
He wants technique tips for the mini tip tester, and if you can show it for the audience, because it's not like a really common grip tool. I think Arm Assassin makes it, and especially climbers have it. I know that you have it, Joseph, and rental shoes, and that's it.
Oh yeah. A few of the Australian guys have one, actually. Arm Assassin. This one's a barrel strength system one. So this is
barrel.
Yeah,
nice.
I think they were the original. I'm not sure. I thought they were the original people to make tip testers, and then they made the compact tip tester, which this is. But yeah, the main thing, I guess it's different compared to some of the other grip tools, is that you have your knuckles really high up, and like I was saying, like that's pretty climbing specific. Like you get into quite a high grip position. So what was the question? How to train for it, or tips for it? I guess, pardon the pun.
Technique tips.
Yeah. Well, I guess here my pinky will be quite open when I'm really maxing out on this. Whereas with climbing, I'd quite often have that crimped up as well. But for whatever reason, this is how I grip it. It's a bit off center, and these knuckles are crimped up at about 90 degrees, and the pinky is dragging like that. And then I'm really fanging with the thumb like that. As far as technique tips go, I've seen rental shoes, and he does the old he supinates his wrist like that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I have it so my palm is facing me. Other than that, I know that at least here, and I have pretty dry skin, breathing on my tips helps with a bit of friction before I max out. But it just depends. Like, I know the guys in Sydney, it's a bit more humid down there, so maybe they don't have to. But that makes a massive difference for me, because I don't sweat a great deal, and this is really smooth aluminium. So tips-wise, squeeze the gizzards out of it and maybe try a bit of, not dampness, but yeah, a bit more humidity. That would be my my tip for the tip tester.
Excellent. I was thinking about the same. It's like tip for the tips. Like,
Yeah,
okay, I like it.
yeah, compact tips.
Well,
Yeah,
uh, speaking about grip tools where you are good at,
yeah,
I did my research.
yeah,
Well, I knew you like from a couple of years, I think,
yeah,
just when you came to Instagram with Joseph.
yeah.
And well, I followed. Oh, Glenn the Hunter. Hello, Glenn.
Glenn,
I followed Glenn since like 4 or 5 years.
yeah. Oh, I
Um,
watched your interview.
and I knew, yeah, I knew, I knew you were great with rolling handle
Mm,
and with the grab ball.
yeah,
For the people on Latin America,
yeah,
like the rolling handle, someone who first starts, it's really like good if you do like 50 kilograms. No,
yeah,
yeah, 50 kilograms, 60 kilogram. Yeah, I remember back in the day when I tried this one for the first time, I did 60 kilogram.
yeah.
In the last King Kong, you did 97, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong, right?
on the crusher, 2.25. Yeah,
It's a little tinier,
yeah,
but anyway, it's awesome and it rolls. It really rolls
mm,
like this.
yeah, yeah.
It's pretty massive, man. And the grab ball, I remember last year I competed in New York
Hmm.
and I did like 65 kilograms,
Yeah,
but you did over 90. You did a lot.
yeah. I think I did before. Both of those in King Kong last year were PBs in the comp. Yeah. So yeah, they were cool.
So one of the questions I personally have,
Yeah,
it's tips to improve the FBBC grab ball.
yeah,
It's because you are doing really well. What do you think?
yeah. The about oh you'd have to ask the guys. I think it was about 2 weeks out from King Kong last year. I was holding almost like I hold the tip tester, which is just like a climbing kind of manner, like really squeezing the guts out. But Joe Hodgson would always hold this one side really open like that
Okay.
and have his thumb like here. Does that make sense? So
Yes, it
you,
totally makes sense to me.
yeah, when I tried it, it never made sense, and I thought Joe's bonkers. But Tom Denmead, who's another Australian arm lifter, he would combine Joe's, so he'd drag his fingers like this, and then get his thumb in the middle, which was a combination of what I used to do, which is like squeeze it like a baby's skull, and Joe's, which was drag. And once I figured that out, which was like 2 weeks out, I went from 82. I really struggled to increase the weight compared to King Kong 2021, leading up to 2022. But as soon as I got this kind of dragged technique over the top where my fingers were open and the thumb in the middle, that was like a total game changer. And the session that I had where I realized that that made a difference, I went up 8 kilos. I remember I went straight up to like 90 kilos. I was like, oh, it was really
Wow.
good. Yeah. And then I just hammered it out until King Kong. And I think just before King Kong, I had 93 as a PB. And then, yeah, in King Kong, I just gave it some extra curry and it was good. Yeah. So the technique specifically for me is getting my web space on my thumb up to that, wrapping the fingers over like that, like really, it feels a bit weird, but they're kind of in climbing talk, they're open. And it probably maybe helps to have long fingers because I can kind of reach and talk, and then get the thumb in the middle like that. So it's like pretty wrapped up tight. But so that was a combination of Joe's and Tom's technique. And initially I was like, this sucks. I hate the grab ball. Yeah, but then now I love it.
I, I remember last year when I competed in New York, I was there with Tim Butler. I don't know if you know
Yeah,
him, Timmy.
Jimmy.
He always say that he couldn't figure it out.
Mm.
Like, this is a weird implement. I still figure it out. It's really weird.
Yeah,
So this information is helpful for all of us. It's really great.
yeah, yeah. No, it's a weird one, and initially, like, it's just so intuitive. Can you still hear me all right?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
cool.
still hear you.
Ah, cool. You just got pixelated. But yeah, I think because I climbed for so long, the tendency just to squeeze the gizzards out of it was there. But yeah, I had to get a bit more subtle with the grab ball, and that worked out super well. So yeah, 94 kilos. I was like super psyched to get that. Yeah. But then my next two lifts were
Right.
all, you know, the flask and the finish ball were horrendous for me in the King Kong.
But that guides me to the crusher.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the Italian gripster called Tiziano Vecchio. Have you seen him?
Nah, nah, I don't think
Well,
so.
let me tell you a little bit about him. In Gripsport, it's really like the famous profile. It's that everyone is like over 100 kilograms, really tall, coming from strongman or powerlifting.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the profiles that can close a Captains of Crush number
Yeah.
4. Well, Tiziano, he's like a meter and 70 centimeters.
Hmm?
That's like 5'8", I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he weighs like 63 kilograms.
Oh, little. Yeah.
And this week he's certified on the Captain's
Oh,
Crush 3.5.
oh, 3.5. Sick. That's nice to hear because I do like the idea of doing some more crushes and no crushes, grippers, and yeah, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? Lightweight, baby.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot. He's like body weight to strength ratio. It's enormous. I think he's the lightest to certify in the 3.5
Yeah.
and to close a number 4. He's really strong.
Yeah.
Well,
Close a number 4.
yeah, he
Oh,
can.
yeah.
He did it like many times this week on Instagram.
Yeah.
He uploaded a video. Actually, next week he's going to be my guest for the second time. Actually,
yeah.
the first episode of the show he
Oh,
came
yeah.
and it was really great.
Yeah.
Well, he wants to know, how do you program your progression on rolling handle?
Oh, how do I program it? I guess last year, because I climb as well and I train. I guess climbing is my main focus. I climb mostly. What do I do? Like last year, for instance, I was looking at some powerlifting stuff and seeing if I could apply that to King Kong conditioning. And so I looked up, I think it was like some Soviet powerlifting program just online, and started doing that. So it had a kind of easy or lighter day once a week, and then a heavier day once a week. I played around with a little bit of that, and what I have done is pretty unsigned, like it's pretty all over the place. So I played around with with that. So reps at maybe I can't even remember off the top of my head. It might have been 8 reps of 8, like a bit of a conditioning kind of routine. So it's kind of I don't even know how many sets. It might have been 3 sets of 8. But I only did that a few times because I tried to do every grip implement in King Kong like that every session. And the session would be like 2.5 hours long. It was like ridiculous. So I guess the main answer would be I don't really. I just play around with it, and I'll warm up. I'll go for some max attempts, and then I'll drop it down by 10 kilos off my max for that session, and then do a bunch of reps. So I might do holds for time and get really pumped out, and I'll do that a couple of times. So maybe like 10 sets of a hold for time maximum with a grip implement. But yeah, with the rolling handle, that's what I do. Or I might do just like rep it out, like so rep boom, rep boom, rep boom. But really, to be honest, there is no method as such. I just wait till my forearms go from like this to like boom, that, and then I go inside and have dinner. And then I do it again in 2 days.
Perfect.
Is that
excellent?
Yeah,
that's good. That's good. I like it.
The other thing is doing some other stuff that complements the rolling handle. So, you know, the rolling handle, obviously your wrist has to be in like a position like that. It gets real hard when it gets like that. So doing some thumbless lifts with the crusher was really good. And then also doing some wrist wrench. And then the wrist wrench is really good. And then the wrist wrench hold for times, and then also wrist wrench, just wrapping it out until like 30 reps or something like that. Again, you know, from this to that, and pack it in for the day. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ben, which was the hardest grip sport discipline for you at the beginning?
Shit. I don't know. Let me have a little. The funniest one was maybe almost frustrating. If I can get it, was like the flask.
Flask.
Because I think I thought I would be way better at it straight off the bat than I was. But I think because, do you know what a platypus is? Duck. Never mind.
Not really, but it's like a part of your hand, or no? It's an animal. It's an animal, right?
Yeah. In climbing, like I was saying with the tip tester, quite often you're holding stuff with your knuckles bent up like that, and then with this, the actual best technique is with straight fingers, and it's not very often in climbing, for me at least, to actually hold like that. But I thought because it was...
Give me a second, Ben.
Yeah.
For my friend, this is a platypus.
Yeah.
Here in Chile, we call him ornitorrinco.
Exactly. So
ornitorrinco, yes.
And this is like a bit of a platypus pinch, this one, and I've never been very good when my knuckles can't be up like that. Yeah, anyway, so initially, again, I'd be trying to squeeze this with my tips, but as it turns out, I had to get all like ornitorrinco on it, and squeeze it like a platypus, and that took quite a lot of practice, and yeah, again, like a lot of that kind of conditioning reps, like reps on reps on reps, and holds for time, like trying to do 30-second holds or 1 minute holds, really getting like pumped through the muscles of the pinky or the pinky side of the palm. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably that was the most frustrating. It's not frustrating, it's still fun, but the one that took the most time to actually get it to a level that wasn't what I thought was totally crap. So yeah. But still, in King Kong, I bombed out on this. I think my King Kong lift was maybe 40 kilos or something, which is still okay, but it was like 6 kilos off my PB. So yeah.
So you're near to the 50-kilo mark. That's really huge.
Yeah, I guess 46 kilos. But again, I don't know. It was weird. In King Kong, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it right. So yeah. I have to look at the results again, but I think it was about 40 kilos at King Kong. I was like, oh, come on. So it didn't happen.
But you won the King Kong anyway. You won your class. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. That's my friend Doug. She's up there.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Good one. Yeah.
Well, Ben, can you still hear me? Yeah. I see like a little blurry.
Yeah,
nice.
I can hear you. Yeah, all good.
Speaking about like equipment, which is the biggest inch dumbbell that you have lifted?
It's that one that in that photo that I sent you, which is 83 kilos, which is Joe's, the Hodgson Crutley bell, HK bell. So yeah, 83 kilo. Is the biggest. I've got an 83.5 here, but it's a bit different. It's not an inch dumbbell. See this grey one here?
A replica, right?
Yeah, it's like it has cylinders, and that's quite a bit harder for me at least than the HK bell, which is like has the globes either side and the fat handle, obviously. Yeah. So yeah, the biggest one is 83 kilos. Yeah. That's
a really good one.
Yeah.
A really huge lift, and your body weight was like 74 kilograms, right?
At that time, it was like 77. So that was King Kong before last year. Yeah, so that was King Kong 2021 that I lifted that 77 kilos. And then last year, King Kong, I was 70 and a half after a water cut. But yeah. So I was in the 74 kilos. So I bounced between the classes, it seems.
Did you have any chance to try a blob these days?
No, I haven't. I've never seen a real blob in the flesh. I know that Joe has a couple now, but I haven't seen him since last year. So I'll probably see him sometime soon. And hopefully, if he's listening, he'll bring a blob up to my house. He's going to come up, or I'll go down to his or whatever. But yeah. So yeah, I'll be psyched to check out a blob. But stuff like that is pretty expensive to get posted to Australia. I know that Zach Mullins posted one to we just have a question from the audience. What's a blob? A blob is a cut off bit of a dumbbell. Google it, York blob. But yeah, anyway, Zach Mullins posted one. Oh, you got one.
That's like a replica. It's basically this.
Yeah.
It's like half of a dumbbell that you can pinch. This is half 100. This is like rubber coated, and it weighs. This one it's like 20 something kilograms. Let me see. 21.98 kilograms, and this is the dumbbell cut. So I have this one and that little one for warm-ups, a hex block.
Oh, the hex block. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
exactly.
Joseph said something. When hell freezes over.
Yeah, because he asked me earlier, when can I come up to yours and lift? And I said, when hell freezes over. That was about 50 before we started. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any famous stones in Australia, like the Dini stones or the Husafels?
Oh, well, not. I think there's a few people that do some stone lifting, like that Luke Blue Mountains Reynolds guy. He has there's some Lake Katani stone, which is down in Mount Buffalo, which is in the Snowy Mountains. But I don't think Australia has a long history with stone lifting like Scotland and the Basque Country and in Iceland. So yeah, I'm sure there's people who lift stones. And actually, incidentally, I do have, and I think he's watching, Dave Brayley, a couple of his old stones because he was into stone lifting and he watched those old Steve Jack movies of the Husafell and stuff like that. So there's the idea of stone lifting is here, but we don't have like a illustrious history like Scotland or like with the Sadlin Mare stone or Inver stone or the Husafell or the Drittovik stones in Iceland and stuff like that. But yeah, I like all that history. Like, how good is that? It's like the inch dumbbell, but hundreds of years old. It's like so cool. Yeah.
Would you like to try the Dini stones, Ben?
Oh yeah,
I think you will do great.
Yeah, I'd be psyched on that. I've got a Dini stone singlet from. Yeah, I'm psyched on that stuff. So yeah, if I went to Scotland, I'd get some haggis, deep fried Mars bar, and I'd lift the Dini stones.
The first two mentioned are like climbing rocks. I was a little lost right there.
The first one I said haggis, which is like their national dish, which is all like heart, liver, and lungs boiled in a sheep's stomach, and then yeah. So that's their food, what they eat, and then a deep fried Mars bar is something else that they do. Like they batter a Mars bar and fry it. So yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of Scotland food.
Well, yeah,
sounds really good. I want to go. And lift the Dinis.
Oh,
I would do like I like to go the other way around. Like first the Dinis and then the food.
Yeah. Well, if you don't lift the Dinis, go eat some food, then you'll be able to lift the Dinis, I reckon. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
They say John Friday 113. Mars bar a close second as a national dish.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, you could swap those around, I'm sure. And some iron brew.
Excellent. Hey Ben,
Hmm.
these days, have you tried some gripper closes? Where's your crush on grippers?
My best one is at number 2. I've got and I've done that a few times, but like I said, like because I bought a number 2 a couple of years ago, and it took me ages to close it. But a few of the guys in the AGC helped me out with my technique, because my technique was way off. I had to hold it way up higher, like the gripper way up higher, and all of a sudden, like maybe 3 sessions, once I got the technique right, the number 2 went all right. But then I bought a number 2.5 and a 3. So yeah, I'd love to do the 3. But yeah, I don't do grippers that much. I did some at Christmas. I just like did heaps of reps over Christmas, because we went up the coast to my partner's house and old partner's parents' house, and I just trained on grippers over Christmas, and that was fun. Like my forearms felt like total chodified, which was good. But yeah.
I think I can just watch the grippers over there,
Yeah,
like in the bottom of the image.
yeah, I've got them. Yeah. And yeah, I don't focus on them that much, but I do like them. Yeah.
But in general, people into climbing, do you generally like do well with grippers, considering the climbing background? What do you think about it?
I don't know. I haven't seen a climber that is unless they're just abnormally kind of strong in that position. Like someone with really strong fingers for climbing isn't necessarily strong at that crush. Yeah, I wouldn't say that from my experience. It's pretty different. It's like that kind of the meat of your hand, and you know that babarabuchi, the platypus technique, that kind of strength. I think. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, at least I wasn't. I was weak as piss on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Here's a question from a climbing friend from Chile.
Yeah.
His name is Maxi Molina.
G'day,
Shout
mate.
out to Maxi over there. He's a climber. So,
Yep.
if you climb outdoors, how do you balance work, family, and other projects?
If I climb outdoors, how do I manage it? Yeah, it's kind of sometimes a bit hard, isn't it? I don't know. It feels like I'm juggling knives with bare feet all the time. Try if that makes sense. No, like I guess the priority would be like, you know, the work and the family, and then trying to steal some time on rock. It just depends how close rock is to you as well. Like I'm lucky up here because there's lots of good climbing, outdoor climbing near me, so I can kind of duck out and, you know, for a couple of hours and get some good climbing done, and then train when I get home, and feel like I'm getting a lot of climbing and that kind of part of my life ticked off, and still manage the other stuff. But I think if I lived a long way, like a couple of hours from some climbing, I'd probably end up doing less outdoor climbing and way more indoor climbing. But I think having a few things you're working on from a training point of view is really good, to still feel like you're engaged with that part of you, which is the climbing side. And yeah, and then giving you some of your time to your family. As unfortunate as that is, no. Yeah, does that make
Yeah,
sense? Yeah.
yeah, totally.
It's hard.
It's not easy to balance like your career,
No.
family, kids, and sport. So totally makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
He also
Not like, oh, yeah, sorry.
he also wants to know. Actually, I think I am going to ask the same question that John Friday has.
Oh, yeah.
How many times a week do you climb, and how many times a week do you work out? With that, I mean workout, or I mean like sessions which are not big hanging on a boulder
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Like training sessions.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
weights or grip
Yeah.
or any other stuff. Stretching.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It does vary, but like the last week I haven't done much. I was away for 2 weeks on a climbing trip, but prior to that, I was training a fair bit, really. So I'd probably maybe 4 days a week I'd get up before work and have a session, and then maybe another 3 or 4 sessions in the evening. So I'd probably end up having 7 or 8 sessions, training sessions, not including going outdoors, if that makes sense. And that would include...
So there are 8 sessions of weightlifting or of workouts, we could say.
Yeah, and then if I'll throw in, like, say, maybe there'll be 2 or 3 of those would have some cardio elements, so some battle ropes and some boxing and floor to ceiling. But then I would also use, like, say, the chode machine, and then I might do 1 or 2 grip tools. That might be a morning session. And then in the evening, I might do my fingerboard or campus. Or have a climbing wall session in a climbing gym. Yeah.
Perfect.
So, but never feels like enough.
Excellent.
Yeah.
He has another question.
Yeah.
What's your take on this climbing statement? Do you think that just climbing could be as beneficial as training plus training your other workouts? Like, could just be hanging on the wall be enough for someone that wants to be good?
Like, is that climbing outdoors or bouldering indoors?
I think he means bouldering indoors because he's a gym owner.
Oh, okay. I think, yeah, like, I think you could get a long way just bouldering indoors, and you might not necessarily, depending on your level, need to supplement it with additional, g'day Tom, my cousin, additional, fingerboarding or campusing. But I think definitely as your level increases and you need to hone, your strengths and specific, say, grip positions or whatever, additional or supplemental kind of training like fingerboards or campusing or pull-ups or weighted pull-ups or cross training and things like that, by way of some, whatever other methods, some lifting, weightlifting, would be totally necessary. So yeah, to a degree, yes, but at a certain point, you'd have to start doing some other stuff. Like, it's like could you play football and still get just as good as someone who played football and did all the other conditioning, strength and conditioning? Does it make sense? Probably not.
Totally.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Actually, it's like, check any professional athlete out there.
Yeah.
Everybody lifts weights.
Yeah.
Everybody does conditioning. Everybody goes to the physio. Everybody eats well or well enough. So maybe some sports are more like flexible with that.
Yeah.
They just like hit the calories and that's it. But yeah, it makes sense.
Bull riding.
Well, then, for someone who has never done climbing and it's into Gripsport, like me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I did climbing. I went to a bouldering competition years ago. I really like it, but I still don't figure out how to mix it. So, for someone who has never done climbing and it's into Gripsport, which climbing exercises will benefit them? Because I have seen, like, people who comes from climbing has a really, like, an excellent finger strength base and grip strength base. So what could we take away from climbing world that could benefit us?
Would that be well, I guess climbing itself and doing some bouldering would be awesome. But if it was a gripster that wanted to take a training tool from climbing, I would say a fingerboard would be really good. and say a fingerboard, and when their fingers feel okay, adding some weight to it, possibly. Yeah, a fingerboard basically, which is again what I was just showing you there, like these little things where you hang off. Yeah, you can do some body weight hangs. But that said, like if I grab, you know, yeah, like yeah, I think a fingerboard would be cool, and a bar, or even if this is pretty radical, like a chin up bar that spins, so it's like a rolling.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. I just got that the other day, but yeah, so that could be cool as well. But I think a fingerboard would be the best thing, and also making sure that the positions that your hands are in, you know, sound, which the grip positions for fingers in climbing are pretty different from the grip positions, g'day Taylor, that you have in Gripsport. Yeah. So that's
nice.
one.
Sounds like a really, we could have a really long conversation on that matter.
Yeah.
It's
Probably.
really interesting.
Yeah.
My friend Tiziano Vecchio, the one that I told you that closes the number 4.
Yeah.
He wants to know, how do you balance crush and pinch within a week?
Oh, so would that be like crush as in like a rolling handle, like a crusher, or like a gripper?
Rolling handle, like the crusher and the flask. How do you balance them between your week? Do you mix them in the same day, or do you space them? What do you do?
No, yeah, I'd do them in the same session, and normally, depending on what the lineup in King Kong is, for instance, so like my sessions leading up to King Kong last year were like, it was what was it? It was crusher, and then grab ball, then flask, finish ball, then little bighorn, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So
exactly
in the same order. Or if I did only 2 implements, I'd do like crusher, and then I'd back up one with the one that's next in line in the comp, if that makes sense. So it's
perfect.
Working in line with the competition, but generally speaking, I'd do both in the one session, and normally I'd start. In that instance, normally I'd start with a crusher or a rolling handle, just because it's easier. It's easier to warm up for that, and I find that warming up for that will cross over for the pinch. But I warm up slower for this than I do the rolling handle, so I always do the rolling handle first. Yeah.
Perfect.
But yeah,
I really like it.
I throw them together.
Nice. Well, Ben, we have like a couple of minutes before the live stops, because Instagram allows you to do just 1 hour.
Oh,
do you have a little more time, or do you have to cut it like right here? I know it's night in Australia.
Oh, no, I'm easy. Yeah, I had a coffee before starting, so yeah, I'm good.
Do you mind if we stop here and restart?
Yeah.
Because I still have some questions.
Oh, yeah. I'm down with that for sure. Yeah, no stress. Yeah.
Okay, I will stop right here and then call you back again.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes. We are back here again. Connecting. We are back. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
We have some more time. Yeah, I have this problem with the previous guest. We were like, we have like some questions left. 10 minutes. Wow. It was like really uncomfortable. So we're back here.
Yeah. Corporate dogs.
Where was I? Yeah. Well, I did my research, and I watched your interview with Couch Potato Strong. Oh. It was a really nice interview. Oh. I must say that after I saw your interview, the first thing that came to my mind was, what a nice guy. Oh. He's really like, I want to have a training with you. I don't know, to travel to Australia and know you all.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you can laugh within the interview. I love like you're a really happy person.
Oh
I
yeah.
really like that about you, Ben. Really cool.
Yeah.
You guys into climbing have like this particular vibe, because I must say, when I compete, I used to compete in calisthenics, and then I competed in powerlifting,
Hmm.
and it's like certain rivalry
Mm.
when at the level I competed. But in climbing, it wasn't like that. I
Yeah.
could have like the great master of Chile in boulders, and he can come to you and, hi, you should put your feet like this, your
Yeah.
hand like this,
Yeah.
and he's going to give you tips and help you. It's like
Yeah.
you collaborate with each other.
It's pretty,
I like it.
yeah. 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 A lot of climbers are like that. I think, especially climbers who have traveled and climbed outdoors and are generally well socialized in climbing are all pretty much like that. Yeah, you can always just have a good chin wag with them. Yeah, for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, in the interview of Coach Potato Strong,
Hmm.
shout out to Adam and Frank, you're watching. Uh, you spoke about like that you were a physiotherapist. So
Oh yeah.
if someone has a plateau
Hmm.
on grip training, in example, with the crusher,
Hmm.
I have seen many pro grip athletes that are like stuck at 80 kilograms
Yeah.
for years.
Mm.
How could you overcome such a plateau?
Mm. Mm. Well, I guess it depends what you're doing. Like I know like a lot of people who train grip will train the same kind of session over and over and over. And I know that Joe Hodgson, he just maxes out. He maxes out every session seemingly for years in a row, and he just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So his body just seems to be, I don't know, likes that stimulus, so to speak. But I know that, like, say, with even grip training with climbing, like I'll do a certain session structure for a couple of months, and then I'll just hit a brick wall and won't go anywhere. So quite often I'll just mix it up. So for example, like say the hold for time before with the crushes or the wrist wrench, if you're maxing out at 80 kilos, like you could throw in some variation into the end of the session. So like holds for time, or rep it out, and just, I don't know, leave that session feeling different to your previous max session where you're just at 80 kilos again. Oh, just at 80 kilos again. It's like, but I'm not really that pumped. So like, yeah, like Arnie says, you got to shock the muscle, and and vary the stimulus that you're putting it in, or subjecting it to. Yeah, that would be my thing. So still working it hard, but working it hard in a different way. So like a long hold, or super reps, like lots of reps, or even just yeah, like whatever, a lighter weight, but holding it even just for 3 seconds and then dropping it. Lift it 3 seconds and drop it. So something that you could comfortably lift 5 times and hold it for 3 seconds. Like it's only just off 80 kilos, say 75 kilos, but you're just holding just a little bit longer. And then, yeah. So varying it just a little bit like that. G'day, Liz. Yeah. That'd be my beta to break through plateaus, is varying that stimulus for sure. Yeah. Or you could even shuffle, like I was saying before, I'll train King Kong in the King Kong order. You could just, throw a bloody atom bomb in the mix, and just do everything backwards. Do the little bighorn, and the finish ball, and then the flask, and and then also, like, one implement you could do hold for time, then you could do reps till failure with another, then you could just mix it up. Yeah. Yeah. Does that
Excellent.
make sense? Yeah.
Yes,
It's fun.
I really like it.
And leaving the session like, chode it out into oblivion. That's the name of the game.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
my friend Maxi
Yeah.
Molina, the climber that I told you,
Yeah.
he wants to ask, uh, do you have, like, this is like a more climbing related, do you have any finger training protocol?
Yeah. So for climbing, hey?
Yes.
Yeah. Like I don't have anything in particular, like, because similar to the last question or the last like rant that I had, I'll mix it up. And some days I might do one arm hangs with assistance through a pulley, which is like a counterweight. So I'll do one arm hangs and say I might do 3 seconds on, 3 seconds off, times 3 to 5. Or another session might be 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off, times 5 for a hold. And then I'll have 30 seconds rest, and then I'll do it again, and then 30 seconds rest and do it again. But that's all pretty maximal. So like I might not necessarily loaded and choted, Glenn. I might not get all those reps out. I might have to work towards that sort of session on that particular grip as a goal for a given weight through the counterweight. But so session 1 I might tick, or I might do all the 5 hangs, and the next one I might fail on the 3rd hang, and the next set I might fail on the 2nd hang. But over a couple of months I might, and I'll have a clear kind of gauge of my improvement. I'll do all 5 hangs, rest, all 5 hangs, rest, all 5 hangs. Great. Now I can take weight off the counterweight, which is assistance, and then I can make it harder again. Yeah. So that's something I'll really do for a 1-arm hang. And then I'll do something similar with weighted 2-arm hang. So I'd get a dip belt and stick some weight on me and do a similar routine. But yeah, so like they're kind of repeaters. But you could also do max hangs for like 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 10 seconds. Yeah. Or 20 seconds sometimes. Yeah. So again, I'll vary it, you know, because climbing, like, you know, it's never the one thing all the time, you know. Like a deadlift is like a deadlift all the time. You pick the barbell up and that's the job. But in climbing, it's pretty varied. So the time you're on a grip is varied. The position you're in on a grip is varied. So yeah, and the angle is on. You know, you're varied. So yeah, does that make sense?
Nice.
But there's no answer. The answer is there's no answer. But leaving like.
But the answer is to overcome and adapt to different situations.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Maxi also wants to know which type of strength is more important for climbing? Fingers or pinch?
Well, pinch involves fingers, but I would say finger. If I had to answer that question without overriding it and saying technique, I would say fingers. Yeah, for sure, without a doubt. Because you have 4 of them and you only have 1 thumb. Yeah.
That's it.
If all of your fingers can't work, but only your thumb can, then climbing's pretty hard. But yeah. But again, it depends on the climbing that you do. Like if you're climbing on a climbing wall that has lots of pinches, you need to be able to pinch. But the other thing would be, like say this position that I was in before, that's like a half crimp, but that's the same position you're in with a pinch generally in climbing. So if you're good at half crimp, you know, that will transfer to a pinch, and if you're good at pinch, that will transfer to that as well. Does it make sense?
Perfect.
Yeah.
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 I also wanted to know, Ben, have you ever done like a Gripsport coaching to anyone?
Nah.
And
I would.
But in example, climbing coaching, do you offer that service?
Yeah, I do some climbing coaching as well. Yeah, just as a side hustle to my work. Yeah.
Good. With really interesting.
Liked on coaching. Sorry, what was that? Sorry.
No, I was saying that it's really interesting, especially if someone hearing wants to have a good coach with a lot of experience. Yeah. You could ask them, maybe, for guidance.
Yep. No, yeah, I do a bit of coaching. Invariably, like working as a physio is like coaching, basically. Not all the time, but there's a lot of kind of coaching based stuff. Even with old people, you're just trying to get their legs stronger so they can get off the toilet, you know, that sort of thing. It's It's just a different kind of coaching.
Perfect.
Mm.
Nice.
Yeah.
In your video with Adam and Frank,
Mhm.
I saw that you invented a couple of grip tools. Do you happen to have them right there?
I can't remember, what did I have in that video? Because
You have like a one that was like a hub.
yeah, oh yeah, but you, for your extensors.
Yes, that
Yeah,
one.
that's in
I
my
remember
other
that.
guy. Um, I'll dig something out that maybe will provide an example. I don't have anything. I don't think. Essentially, do you know like metal posts? Essentially it's a post cap, which is like a metal post, and then it has a cap on top, so
Yes.
you can't, I don't know, put stuff down it. I guess it's a post cap that's upside down. If I use my jug as an example, but it's wider, you put your fingers in, and then you would lift up off that. So it's actually your extensors working, but it's, instead of being really like a eja la mole or platypus position, it would be sorry, I'm bastardizing. It would be a bit more like that, and you're stretching out like that to lift the weight. So yeah, I can't remember what I called it. G'day, Matt. I can't remember what I called it, but it's good. I don't use it very much, but it's fun.
But
Yeah, it's pretty.
have you made many grip tools to this date?
I've made a few, like say for instance, like just a little one finger pocket, like as a little rehab and slash like a shallow pocket for conditioning for climbing type things. And then incidentally, I do have this sitting here, this is like a railway tie. Have you ever seen one of those? But
Not really, but
no,
it's
no.
the first time.
Somehow it does something on a railway track, but it has a nice radius, and so I use that for pinky lifts, like Louis Cyr style lifts.
And how do you use that? Can you get back to the previous tool? It was like the pocket style. How
Yeah.
do you use it? Because I don't see myself, and many gripsters don't recommend to lift with one finger. What's your take on single finger lifts or training?
Oh, it's like life's greatest gift is a one finger pocket. Um, so yeah, like no, I train single fingers lots, but it's, and as an example, like my campus board. Can you see that? Sorry, campus board
Yes.
has pockets all over it. So yeah, for climbing, it's really relevant. For arm lifting, maybe it's not so relevant. I don't know. I wouldn't bother with it for arm lifting, but certainly for climbing, if I'm training for a route that has a shallow pocket or a mono like that, and it's a bit tweaky, or I don't feel very conditioned, pardon me, or whatever, then I'll do a little bit of, conditioning on something like that with a light-ish weight. But I also do that quite a bit for rehab as a physio as well, with climbing injuries. I will, get people to do stuff like that, maybe with a sling or a little pocket like that. So so I rate the single finger stuff for sure. It's really,
So do you hang from single fingers like this?
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So it's something that can be done, because I have never tried it,
Oh yeah.
and I have seen like information on internet like don't bother to do that, it's dangerous. But
Yeah.
I have seen climbers doing amazing stuff
Yeah. Yeah.
with one finger, like one arm
Yeah.
pull-ups with one finger,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
example.
No, yeah. There's a really famous climber called Wolfgang Gulich from the 90s who invented the campus board, which is like those rungs that I just showed you, who would campus on one finger, and ended up putting up this really famous climb because of the strength that he gained from training like that. But he's legend, yeah. So if you Google Wolfgang Gulich campusing monos you'll get a picture of him, you know, just dropping the clutch on one finger. Yeah.
Wolfgang.
Oh, yeah,
Just happened to have my Wolfgang,
yeah,
like Woolwich.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I have it right here. I have seen that photo. It's really famous.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's him with Kurt Albert. Yeah.
It's him, right?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, yeah.
He looks really muscular. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Separate reality.
Is he still alive, or I
No,
can see?
he's dead. Yeah, he died in 1992.
Oh,
Yeah. Full ledge. Yeah.
really sad news.
I've got
But awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Give me
Yeah, but yeah, one finger for sure. Like Louis Cyr, that Canadian strongman from the 1800s, he lifted like an outrageous, and that's why I have this, because I wanted to see how strong I could get at a single finger lift, because Louis Cyr did it like 100 and however many years ago, I don't know, 40 years ago. He lifted 250 kilos or 240 kilos. Like, it's a shit ton. Fuck. Like, really, isn't it?
It's crazy.
Yeah. And I think he did it on a strap as well, Louis did. So yeah. So I find, like, it's like stone lifting. It's like, oh, those strong people from back in the day, oh, they did this. Well, shit, they're a human, I'm a human. Surely I have some vague capacity to do something along those lines, and it would relate to my climbing. Yeah. Or King Kong, you know. So yeah, it's good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I have a question from a power lifter from Chile.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Mikel Insunza. Shout out to Mikel out there.
G'day, Mick. Cool.
This one is going to be like more of a physiotherapist question. Which is the importance of muscle mass for grip movements? Grip lifts like crusher, pinch, etc.
What's it of like having like a jacked forearm?
Yeah, because he's a pretty jacked person. It's like really tall and really big.
I don't know, really. I can't imagine it being super critical. But again, it's like, if you have more muscle, you can put more force behind it. If you have more force behind it, you can lift a heavier thing than someone with lesser muscle, like theoretically. But it's like in climbers, like some of the strongest people are really pretty wiry. And like old mate, that Italian guy who closed the number 4 crusher, like, I'm sure his guns aren't that big, are they? Like,
no, I mean, he's fit, he's muscular, but he's not like Popeye, you know?
Yeah. And like Joe Hodgson, like he's got a bit of meat on his bones, like on his forearms, but he's not massive. Like, he's not like, you know, and he's so turbo. And then Tom Denmead, who's another Sydney lifter, who's less than 70 kilos. He's pretty wiry, and he's weaponized. Like, he can lift I think 106 kilos on the little bighorn and stuff like that. It's like, it's a lot. It's more like
it's
weight.
A lot.
Yeah. And yeah, so I think there is a relevance to it, muscle on the forearm, but then also you have to be mindful, like, there's a lot of stuff going on in here as well. And I know that since I started climbing, training grip, my palms have gotten a lot thicker, and so I think there's a lot of relevance there to what the small hand muscles are doing in grip as well. Does that make sense? Yeah. So yeah, and then also, like, I guess if you got big forearms from powerlifting, it doesn't necessarily mean that the finger flexors are super well developed, especially if you use wraps or whatever. And similarly, like the intrinsic hand muscles and the little muscles of the thumb that do like that and then that, you know, there's a lot going on in the hand. And yeah, I think, I don't know. It's relevant, but maybe not too relevant. I wouldn't obsess over it unless you want to look like Popeye, which I do.
Yeah. Who Who doesn't want to look like that with the big forearms?
But yeah, more than Popeye.
Tell me, Ben, what's the thing that you love most about Gripsport?
I really like, and this is what I like in climbing, but I find it harder to get in climbing. I really like the ability to try real hard, and almost like the thing is stopping you from getting like the thing off the ground is your ability to try hard, and that's fun to try and figure out how to do that. It's not as easy go, oh yeah, squeeze it. It's like trying to summon up that kind of energy to tow the entire solar system off your arm, yeah, it's I like that feeling of trying hard, and I've always liked finger training and stuff that relates to climbing, so I liked it for that reason. But I really like the fact that you really have to put a lot of emotional content behind it. Yeah,
really nice.
Yeah,
I will take that to get more climbers in Chile to get into Gripsport.
Yeah. I think it relates to climbing a lot. Yeah, as long as you're not spending so much money at Fat Bastard Barbell Co, so you're missing out on going on road trips.
Yeah. Well, if I host a championship, I will do all the investment, and they will just have to come here and try.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And pay the entry fee.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next question. I think we cover a lot of them.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Ben, how do climbers train their pinch strength? Is just bouldering, or do you do like a pinch block in a separate session? I have seen some of them on Instagram or YouTube having like wooden pinch blocks. I asked myself, is that a thing, or do you just use the campus and that's it?
No, yeah, like I think I think lifting, pinching is not really like or pinching on a canvas board or a fingerboard. There's not very many fingerboards that have good pinches. So like a lot of the strength for pinching comes like so I'm pointing at a woody there, my bouldering wall, from climbing on a wall. But yeah, in the past there's been people, and I've made a pinch block like maybe 18 years ago for pinch strength. So they have existed, but I think with the advent of arm lifting, lifting pinches has become a bit more common and popular. So yeah, I think what was the question again? Do climbers train pinch strength?
How do you do it? That's the question.
I think the main thing is like climbing on a climbing wall or a bouldering wall make pinches stronger. But I think a lot of climbers these days are starting to realize that training the pinch strength by way of lifting a block with weight on it is super practical. Yeah. And actually, again, there's other ways. Like if you look at my canvas board, these little pinches here, that's a nice way of camping and training the pinch as well. Because the pinch is a funny one. Like, again, like you're using your muscles here, but instead of holding that or holding a jug like that, the pinch, you're using your extensors slightly differently. So it's worth training. So yeah, I think training on a bouldering wall, training with lifting, and training on something that's practical and ergonomic like these balls would be a good way to cover your bases for pinch training and climbing. But yeah, I don't know. I think people that do it all sorts of different ways, hanging from beams as well. Yeah.
And I have the question like the other way around. In example, if a climbing takes like the flask, do you think that will be like, would you recommend a climber to get a flask and hey, this thing of Gripsport will benefit your climbing? Can it work like that or not so? What do you think?
Yeah. I reckon the one thing with the flask is like I was saying before with that the platypus kind of pinchy strength. Like a lot of time you're not pinching like that in climbing, but definitely in the past I've had sessions where I'll use the flask, but I'll jack my knuckles up like this so that it's more reminiscent of something I would do in climbing. The hand position is more specific to climbing. But yeah, 100%. Like a flask would be sweet, or a block of wood would be great as well because it's cheaper. Yeah, or even like, a climbing hold, and you could just bolt that to a piece of flat wood and pick that up, Yeah. So yeah, I think a climber could benefit from arm lifting equipment for sure. If that was the question.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Uh, Arriving to one of my last questions then.
Mm-hmm.
What's the Australian Grip Council and what's the difference with that and arm lifting Australia?
Oh yeah. The Australian Grip Council is a very fancy name for a bunch of people who arm lift in Australia. So it sounds very fancy, and it is pretty fancy, but it's like basically it was started by Joe Hodgson, just to get a few people that he knew that were starting to arm lift all together. It's like an Instagram chat. Australian Grip Council is a chat basically, but it's a chat with people who are pretty committed to arm lifting and have competed in King Kong and that sort of thing. And they're people who, there's a few people in Tasmania, Melbourne, Queensland, and New South Wales, and Darwin actually. There's not very many. It's maybe 10 friends basically. But yeah, it's very.
But you live like really apart from each other, as I can hear, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I live like 2 hours or 2.5 hours from Joe and Tom, and then we all live from the other guys at least 15 hours away. So like other sides of the country, kind of. Yeah. So yeah, it's just a group of arm lifters in Australia. That's the Australian Grip Council. Yeah. And then Arm
Perfect.
Lifting Australia is just an Instagram page for which is run half-assed by a certain member of the AGC, which will remain nameless.
Okay.
It's just some photos basically when that person gets off their ass and pulls their finger out and can be bothered to post a picture, then they will. So yeah, Arm Lifting Australia isn't really anything too much. The Grip Council is basically a bunch of pals that, the Australian guys that arm lifting going King Kong. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was talking to my friends from the US,
Yeah.
and some of them didn't know about like all the new gripsters from Australia. I am totally convinced that the world should know more about you guys. You're really strong and you're doing great job. You're
Yeah.
really doing great job. I am really a nerd of the numbers. I like to
Oh,
see the statistics,
yeah.
and you're doing great. You're
Yeah.
doing great, guys.
Yeah.
And you're doing things like um, it's like thinking outside of the box because you're doing things that were not like into the equation, and you are getting really strong and big results. Like in the world championship in the King Kong, you're dominating actually. So it's really inspirational to have you out there, and I am pretty sure that we can learn a lot from you. A lot.
Yeah. No, I think we were all pretty psyched on the last King Kong. Yeah, it's nice to see, Australia come up on the list of results and stuff like that. So yeah, it's good. I think we're just like a bunch of psyched people that have a bit of a background in other sports, and yeah, we feed off each other's psych, which is nice. That's what the AGC is kind of about, really. taking the piss out of each other, but also, you know, motivating each other. It's good. Yeah.
Excellent. I really like it. If you happen to make shirts in the future,
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Oh,
I'm totally into having one.
yeah,
I love
cool.
to collect shirts from the tournament, and I have one of the Dini Stones as well. I really like it.
Oh, yeah. I love those things. I've got the Stone Tour shirt as well that those guys make. It's sick. So yeah. It's good. But yeah, we'll try and get onto an AGC shirt or something like that. That'd be cool. Joe's made a couple in the past that have been good. So yeah.
Glenn the Hunter says, looking forward to competing against the Chile Grip Council.
Yeah.
I will have to start it.
Yeah.
Anyway, last year it was like the first King Kong in Chile.
Oh,
From the first gripster of Chile, whose name is Bruno. Bruno 21 SDPO. Maybe he follows you. Maybe you have seen him.
I don't know.
But he has like a fitness brand, and he's doing great work. Shout out to Bruno out there. So there are things happening. Well, and I went to New York last year and did my first competition in the house of Hits of Alex. So the Chilean Grip Council is moving. We are going there.
Yeah,
I'd love to compete this year as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Then to finish the interview, last words belong to you. What would you like the viewers to take away from this great and fun interview?
I don't know, really. Shit, I don't know. What did I take away? From a training point of view, don't hesitate to mix up, you know, what you're doing, like the sets and reps and hold times and weights. That's what I do. I just play around with the stuff, you know. Don't be afraid, like Joe Hodgson does, which is just have like big sessions pretty regularly. It seems to work for people. Grip sport relates to climbing. Climbing relates to grip sport. There's definitely relevant stuff if you're getting from grip sport into climbing that you would want to avoid injuries, like when you start getting your fingers up into these funny positions. No, otherwise, you know, just, you know, chode out with your loadout. That's basically the long and short of it.
Excellent, man.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to thank you for the interview. It was really fun, and I still have the sensation that I have so much more to learn from you and from the Australian Grip Council. I look forward for further interviews. I'd love to know Australia in the future. So if I happen to go, please let's meet and let's have a training together.
Yeah.
And if you happen to come to Chile, the doors are open. We can meet. There are pretty good climbs here in Chile. In Punta Arenas, there are some epic ones.
Yeah.
Alex Honnold has been here several times. I think this year or the last year he came. It's like a really good place to come. Full of nature, full of hikes, and full of I don't know. You have snow, you have the desert, the desert, you have the beach. It's really cool.
But desert. Yeah, sweet. No, it's a big country. Hey, yeah. I'd like to go to
so big, not so big, but really long and diverse.
Oh yeah, it's long. I'm thinking I'm thinking of all of South America. But yeah.
I think Australia is way bigger. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Than Chile.
Yeah.
But yeah, South America is beautiful if you happen to have the chance to come.
Yeah.
But yes, I had a blast with the interview, and I wanted to thank you about that.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks.
And we will see each other soon, for sure.
Sounds good. And thanks again. And take it easy.
Thank you, my friend.
Have
a nice day.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.